Chapter 1. Understanding Muscle Basics. Before we start drawing, let's understand the fundamentals. Muscles work in pairs. When one contracts, its opposite relaxes. This push-pull relationship creates the shapes we see on the body. Whether you want to create realistic human figures or stylized superhero characters, understanding muscle structure is your secret weapon for dynamic, powerful artwork. The human body has over 600 muscles, but you only need to master about 30 to 40 major muscle groups to create convincing figure drawings. When we think about the human body, we can simplify shapes to understand proportions better. The classic female figure often resembles an hourglass, wider at the shoulders and hips with a narrower waist. Meanwhile, the male figure typically forms an upside-down triangle, broad shoulders tapering down to a narrower waist and hips. Let's set up our Clip Studio Paint workspace. Create a new canvas at least 1920x1080 pixels at 300 dpi. Set up multiple layers, skeleton sketch, muscle outline, and final rendering. I'm using different colors so you can see everything clearly. Watch this time-lapse, but feel free to pause anytime you need to catch up. I'm keeping our tutorial short and sweet for everyone's benefit. Let's go back to basics. First, I'll draw these simple lines to create our upside-down triangle shape for the male figure. Next, I'll use this red pencil to sketch the chest muscles. With the blue pencil, I'll add lines around the body to get the proportions right. Finally, I'll use this green pencil to sketch the muscle shapes before adding all those details you see in the finished drawing here. That's a quick overview before we dive into each muscle in detail. Using 3D models as reference. First, click on Window in the menu bar, then select Material and choose Material, 3D. You'll see a panel appear on the right side of your screen. Now simply find an anatomy model you like and drag it directly onto your canvas. Now, here's something important to remember. Clip Studio Paint's 3D models don't automatically show muscle flex ion. Let's fix that together. First, locate the manipulation tools. Those handy little icons right up there. Use these to adjust your 3D model's position until you've got the perfect angle. Next, find the body shape modifier and drag the slider toward muscular as shown in this image. This gives your model more defined muscle mass to work with. Third, don't forget about lighting. Click on the light source tool to highlight those muscle definitions. Good lighting makes all the difference in seeing the muscle contours clearly. Once you're happy with the model, reduce its opacity to about 50%. This makes it easier to draw your own details over it without getting distracted. Feel free to adjust your model's pose by moving the limbs around. It's just like playing with an artist's mannequin. But for this chapter, let's focus primarily on using the 3D model as a reference for muscle structure. Remember, this is your drawing assistant, not your art director to make the model work for you. Guidelines are crucial for your body sketches. With your 3D model in place, draw simple lines to mark the head, shoulders, hips, and knees. These lines help you nail the right proportions and angles before adding details. In this chapter, we'll use 3D models as our foundation to create accurate, well-proportioned figures. Let's get started. Start with a simple frame. Always make shoulders wider than the waist for any muscular figure. For male figures, create an inverted triangle shape. Make those shoulders broad and the waist narrower to show that classic masculine form. For female figures, go with an hourglass silhouette. Keep the muscles defined but less bulky than male figures. While 3D models can be helpful, don't just trace them. Instead, try this approach. Use the trace method for your front view to learn the basic frame, then challenge yourself with a 3/4 side view without tracing. This helps you understand how muscles wrap around the body from different angles. This practice method builds your muscle drawing skills much faster than tracing alone. See how I'm sketching this robotic framework? The upper arm is essentially a cylinder that narrows slightly as it approaches the elbow. The forearm starts narrower at the elbow joint and continues to taper toward the wrist. This gives us that natural arm silhouette. Now, let's expand on this basic structure. I'll quickly sketch over our framework to add muscle groups. The upper arm features the biceps in front and triceps in back, like soft balloons attached to our mechanical frame. Notice how the bicep bulges in the middle and narrows at both ends where it attaches. In the forearm, muscles fan out from the elbow and spiral slightly as they extend to the wrist. Think of them as twisted cords wrapped around our basic shape. I'm adding these with quick, confident strokes to capture their flow. See how these simple shapes transform into believable anatomy. The secret is understanding that muscles have a logic to them. They connect between specific points and bulge in predictable ways. Practice with a 3D model first, then try drawing without tracing to test your understanding. When drawing legs, use the same basic approach as arms. Start with simple shapes based on your 3D model or reference. Notice legs have a mix of curves and straight lines. The thigh begins wide at the hip and narrows toward the knee, while the calf creates an outward curve before tapering to the ankle. For male legs, emphasize straighter lines and angular muscle definition, particularly in the quadriceps and calves. Male thighs typically show more distinct muscle separation. Female legs feature more continuous curves with softer transitions between muscle groups. The thigh has a gentler outward curve, and calves appear more rounded rather than sharply defined. Remember, regardless of gender, legs always balance strength and flexibility in your drawings. Here's how I drew Pantherion King in Clip Studio Paint. Start with a blue rough sketch, using simple shapes: an upside-down triangle for the torso and cylinders for the arms and legs, just like building on a 3D model. Next, outline the figure with the tapered pen for bold, dynamic lines that make the muscles pop. Add a base color layer for the panther black skin, then separate layers for the gold armor and blue cloth so details are easy to adjust. On a multiply layer, use the design pencil to shade the muscles. Notice the strong shadows under the chest, abs, and arms to give that heroic, three-dimensional look. Create an overlay layer for highlights, and use the mapping pen to add bright edges on the shoulders, chest, and thighs, following the light source. Keep your layers organized: sketch, line art, base color, shadows, highlights, and details. This method combines realism, superhero boldness, and anime clarity, making Pantherion King look powerful and ready for action. Remember to hit that like or subscribe button on my profile and flex those creative muscles in the comment box. Your next drawing could be your strongest yet.